Hello, everybody. Tonight's gonna be a lazy stream. Um, okay, let me let people know that I'm live. Okay. Hello, Kalora. Hello, Kalora. Okay. Okay, there we go. Let's post all the places that I is live. Okay. I'm getting distracted. I'm supposed to be posting that I'm live, and I got distracted. Doom scrolling, which is the polar opposite of what I want to be doing. Okay. Alrighty. Got an ad running. Okay. Alrighty. One last place to post. Okay. 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 Oh, Nexus Sheep shared in my post. Okay. Alrighty. Hello, Nabiru. Hello, Forever. Good to see you. If you are, for those of you watching on YouTube, if you could like the stream, it helps the algorithm with pushing it out so we can get more views and more people watching the content. So if you haven't liked the stream yet, please do. It really does help. Hello, Kimberly. Hello. Alrighty. I think I've posted everywhere I want to post that I'm live. Don't need that open anymore. So I've had a day. Actually, I've had quite a week. Cake verse? What is cake? Is that something forever? Is that something that like I shouldn't like Google? Is that like something bad? You were watching Inside Out too, Kimberly? Nice. Let's get over to the just chatting screen. Alrighty. Oh. Yeah, that's pretty bad. That's pretty bad, Forever. Forever, that's pretty bad. That's pretty. That's pretty. When you said cake verse, I was afraid it was Omegaverse related. As soon as you said cake verse, I was like, please don't let it be Omegaverse. That's not. That is not even remotely what I do. That is not even remotely what I do. At all. Ugh. My day was interesting. So like I have my routine of things I do, right? And last night I watched Critical Role. And by the way, if you're not caught up on Critical Role, there's going to be spoilers cuz I'm going to be gushing about so I'm gonna talk a little bit about Critical Role, because I watched the episode last night, and I don't really do a lot of like reaction content, but this is like the closest I'd get to it. Hello, Sean. Okay, if I call you Sean. But yeah, so last night I watched Critical Role, and it ran super late. And for reference, Critical Role normally finishes, I'm an EST, and Critical Role normally finishes between 2 and 2:30 EST. Last night, it finished about 4:30. This is AM. Last night, it finished about 4:30 AM. And it was a doozy. And then after I got done watching the thing, I was hanging out with Okusen online, and then we were just kind of yapping away, and I was talking about my latest story idea with Okusen, and I was doing that till like 8 or 9 or 10 in the morning. Oh, cool. I'm glad you're excited about the Olympics, Kimberly. I hope it's really enjoyable. And I'm like, okay, well, I'm at this, I was like having trouble winding down, and then I woke up, and I slept for a good bit of the day, but then I was just really tired. I was really tired and exhausted, because I've had a really busy week, and then like I had to go pick up my medicine, right? And my pharmacy isn't open over the weekend. So if I was going to pick up my medicine in time to like have medicine for next week, I needed to pick it up today. But the normal person I get a ride with wasn't available. So I'm like, what am I going to do? I'm like, well, I did just get that money for the month. So I'm like, I could just do a Lyft. Because in my area, Lyft is normally a little bit cheaper than Uber. But yeah, I could do a Lyft to go to the pharmacy. And that was like $10 to get there. So I knew it was going to be about $10 to get back. And I wanted to call my doctor to be like, hey, can you fill out these other prescriptions? But then I remembered my doctor's office is like closed today, or at least that's what they told me, that they close on Fridays. They close early on Thursdays, and then they're closed on Fridays. And so I was like, great. Well, you know what? I'll just pick up the ones that I have. And then I just couldn't get myself to get the energy to move. I couldn't drag myself to get the energy to get stuff booked, to get the ride to go to the pharmacy, and I was exhausted. I fell asleep and napped for a good couple hours during the day, and I meant to be charging my phone, but I fell asleep and my phone wasn't on the charger, and I was like, do I really want to go? My phone might die while I'm out there. That would really suck. And then I'm like, I need to get my medicine, so I have to make it work. Got my Uber, rode out there, and then when I got to the pharmacy, I went in to get my medicine, and I get to the front of the line, and I'm like, the technician recognized me and is like, oh, okay, I see your stuff. And I'm like, cool. I'm like, hey, because there are these 2 medicines that my doctor hasn't refilled yet, can I get a 5-day supply of that? Normally, if they're not controlled medications, my doctor will give me like a 5-day supply to last me till the prescription gets filled, and then they take those 5 days worth of medicine and take it out of the thing whenever they fill it, right? Pretty simple procedure. Cut and dry, very simple procedure. And the technician's like, no. And I got really confused for a second. And I was like, no. Why no? And I asked him, like, I restated the question. He's like, no, what I'm saying is your doctor's office just sent over those prescriptions and we still have to fill them. I see it's in our, it's called the F1 list, which is the list of the stuff that come in that hasn't been filled yet. And I'm like, okay, do you want me to wait for you to fill? He's like, yeah, take a seat. So I took a seat, and I was still near the front of where the register was at the pharmacy. And there was this lady who was like in line behind me. And She looked like she was having a rough day, and she went to get her medicine, and the doctor's like $1, or it's like $1.15 or something, right? And she's like, I don't have any money. And the pharmacist's like, well, I can't, like, I don't know what to do with it. She's like, I just came from the emergency room and I told them, my medicine doesn't qualify for delivery, Kimberly. My medicine doesn't qualify for delivery just because of my pharmacy and my insurance and all that stuff. So this lady was like, what am I going to do? I just came out of the emergency room. I told the doctor at the emergency room that I wouldn't have my money till the 4th. I don't have, and she's like, I don't have $1 to get this medicine. And I'm sitting there and I'm like, I don't know what to do. It's like, I shouldn't be hearing this because this is a HIPAA violation because she's talking about personal information, right? And the pharmacy tech was like, all right, I'm going to have the pharmacist see if he can get in touch with a social worker to help you. And I'm sitting there like, I used to be a pharmacy tech, and there have been times where like I have paid the $1 for people to pick up their medication, right? And I'm just sitting there and I'm like, they're really going to deny this lady medicine for $1? And then I realized that's part of the sinister nature of it, right? They set that $1 not so much to collect the $1, but in order to make sure that people who don't have the $1 can't fill the prescription. And it cuts down on the amount of people who get the medicines filled and all that stuff. So they said they're going to look for a social worker, and then she goes off. And then my medicine gets done a little while later, and then I head out and I see her sitting in the waiting area. I request the Lyft to take me back home, and I sit down and I'm near where she is in the waiting area, and she's like, kind of like looks anxious. And then one of the security guards comes out and is like, ma'am, I just asked back there. None of us have $1. None of us have any cash on us. And I'm like, okay, now I have to do something, right? She is so desperate. She's asking the security guards for $1 to get her medicine. And I'm like, I've got 4 minutes till my, I selected the wait and save option for my Lyft, so I get a cheaper price, but I just have to wait for someone to get there. And I'm like, okay, I need to do something. So I told the lady, I'm like, ma'am, do you need $1? What do you need? And she's like, I need money to get my medicine. So I'm like, okay, come on, let's go. I'll pay the $1. I didn't have cash, so I was gonna just put $1 on my debit card because I'm like, you know what? I don't care. Like, no, I don't have cash, but like this lady needs her medicine. So I went in, and the guy's like, ma'am, what do you, and I'm like, I'm paying for her medicine. I'm paying the $1. So I paid the $1. She's like, thank you so much. And then I look at my phone, and my phone said that my ride was waiting outside. So I was like, yeah, no problem. You know, I gotta go. And I head out and get delivered back home. And then my phone battery was low. So I asked the driver in the Uber, or no, in the Lyft, I was like, hey, do you have an Android charger? And she's like, oh, I think I do. And she starts, like, as she's driving, fiddling with all this stuff. And I'm like, oh, no. And, hey, Sean. Oh, it's fine. I completely understand. Internet can be really spotty sometimes. It is what it is. How was your week, Sean? Superstar. Um, Good. That's great. You do anything fun? You do anything special? Um, so I did eventually like charge my phone for a little bit on the way back, but then her charge cable was so short it couldn't reach into the back seat. So I was like, she took a hard turn and like my phone kind of slid off the center console where I had it set charging, and I just didn't plug it back in. I was like, you know what? I don't care. I'm done. You bought chocolate? Nice, Kimberly. Nice. Nice. Very nice. What did you do? I don't know. That's what I'm asking you, superstar. Don't ask me. I don't know what you did. This isn't a horror movie. I don't know what you did last summer. You remember going to the mall. Very nice. It's this summer. No, do you know what I'm referring to? That horror movie? Do you know what I'm referring to? It might be an old reference. It might be. So, is my ghost doing the stream? No, forever. No, forever. I got home. You know it? Okay, Sean. I got home and I was hungry. Hey, Noel Main. Yeah, hey, welcome in. I got home and I just kind of chilled. I was just, my phone was very low on power, so I put it on the charger for a while. And like I was tired because I was up super late last night. And I didn't want to cook, but I was hungry. And I know I should not be spending money. I should be being more careful with my money. Yes, a ghost. Hey, Julian. Welcome in. Welcome in. How was your week? How is everybody's week doing? Excuse me. And so I did something I shouldn't have done, but I ordered some chipotle. I ordered me some chipotle. I love that the captions picks that up perfectly. Yeah. But I haven't had that in a long time. I had a burger this morning to eat to take my medicine this morning. And I didn't want a burger again. I was kind of treating myself a little bit because it was a thing where like I had gotten out of the house, I had picked up my medicine, and I had helped someone get their medicine. So I was like, I have accomplished things today. I am going to treat myself. And it's like when you waffle across that line between I need to save money and YOLO treat yourself. Because if you're like, I did a thing, I deserve a little treat, before you know it, you're like broke and up the creek because you spent all your money on little treats. But I got some chipotle, and it was interesting because I was like, let me take a price comparison between ordering this. I don't know if mine kept the depression away as much as it just like kept the depression fed. I was at a point where I was like, let me see. We should all order some chipotle and invest in stock, I say, as an unbiased random person who owns some chipotle stock. You ate some Panda Express? What'd you have from Panda Express, Kimberly? What'd you have from Panda Express? But oh, Sean, sounds like you've got some skin in the game there, Sean. Sounds like you're quite the superstar. And I was looking at it, I was like, is it cheaper to order through the app or through DoorDash? Because like a lot of stuff you can order either through their own individual app or you get it through DoorDash. And like the benefit of getting it through DoorDash is you get orange chicken and chow mein. Nice. I remember when for a while Panda Express had the vegan orange chicken and I loved it. It was so good. I was so sad when they stopped carrying that. And chicken al pastor, nice. I see that name, chicken al pastor, and I don't know, or el pastor. I don't know what that means for the chicken's preparation because it's been so long since I ate chicken because I'm a vegan. But like, I'm aware that is a way to cook chicken. But my first thought is the chicken giving a sermon because it's a pastor? Chicken the pastor. It's Spanish, you know what it is? Okay. Oh, that's cool in the wall, man. Yes, that's the thing. The Chipotle app, and I know that that's how that works because I used to be a DoorDasher. I used to do DoorDash and Grubhub and Uber and Lyft. I used to do all that. I did that for like 3 years. And so, but considering that, right? Also, Noel, man, I hope you have a great week. I hope you had a great week with your partner. And I hope you made a lot of great memories. I checked the prices. The prices were the same for like the individual items, right? Basically marinating the chicken and some spices, pineapple juice. Oh, ooh, nice. So I look at it, the price for the bowl and for the topping and for the stuff and for the sides is all the same between the DoorDash and the Chipotle app, right? And the thing is, if you do it through the DoorDash app, right, you get DoorDash's customer service. If something's wrong with the order, you can just file a complaint with DoorDash customer service and you know it's going to get dealt with, right? you're going to get your money back or whatever, right? With Chipotle, just like with like Taco Bell or Burger King, dealing with the customer service can be iffy and you never know if it's going to get resolved entirely, right? So there's the internal risk element. But from where I live, the DoorDash delivery was like $6.99 for the delivery fee plus like a 15 or 20% service fee. Yeah, the points is a big difference, is a big deal breaker, a big difference maker. And then, so it was like $6.99 for the delivery fee plus this exorbitant service fee on DoorDash. And I look at it on the Chipotle app. Delivery fee, chat. Delivery fee, $1. I'm like, oh my gosh. Everything else costs the same. It's coming from the exact same place, but the delivery fee is $1. And the service fee was only like, I think it was like 10% instead of like the 20%, instead of like the 15 or 20% that it was on DoorDash. And I'm like, I'll take the risk. I'll take the risk that something goes wrong. Yeah, it was a huge difference. I got a bowl and like it came out to like, what was it? It was like the bowl itself was like $12, and then I added guac, so it came out to like 15 or 16 bucks, right? For just the bowl. And then on DoorDash, it was like $4 service fee, $6, like $7 delivery fee. Same order, same everything, except I was able to like actually better customize the stuff to be like, I want half black beans and I want half pinto beans and those kind of specific stuff. I was able to do that a lot better in the Chipotle app. And then in the app, it was delivery fee, $1. Service fee, $2. And I'm like, bruh. What? That is such a huge difference. That like drastically cut down the cost of the food. And I'm like, okay, that is feasible. So I ordered the food, and then I got the text that I always dread getting. Yeah, app all the way. I got the text that always annoys me, which is, your dasher will leave the food in front at an agreed upon location instead of handing it to you. And I'm like, I specifically say I want them to hand it to me. I explicitly state that in my directions that I want them to call me. But now that I know that the front door, the outer door to my apartment complex doesn't lock. I found that out the other day when I was experimenting. You gotta go. All right, Sean, it was great having you. I value having you here. You are a wonderful individual, and I believe you make this world a better place. Thank you for coming to tonight's stream, and I hope you have yourself a wonderful weekend, Sean. And so I found out that the outer door to my apartment complex doesn't lock. And I'm like, oh, that's a safety concern. And that explains how those scammers got in the other day. I was like, how did these scammers get in the other day? They just walked right in. So I just text the delivery person. I was like, because it says text this number to respond to them. I'm like, listen, You can either leave it in front of my door, and I told them how to get to my door, or you can call me and I will come down and get it. And they texted me, they're like, okay, well, I'm here. So I'm like, okay, I presume that means they want me to come down and get it. So I go and I'm putting on my shoes and I grab my, my keys and whatnot, and I head downstairs. And as I'm opening the door and I'm like locking the door behind me so I can go downstairs, because I don't want someone to go into my room, into my apartment, while I'm downstairs getting food. I hear someone coming up the stairs, and I look down and I see, here's someone coming up the stairs carrying a Chappelle bag. And he's like, oh, that's for you. I'm like, yeah. And he hands it to me, and I'm like, oh, okay. If he was going to come upstairs, I didn't have to like get ready to go downstairs, right? And then I get ready to go back into my apartment, and he's like, wait, I need a picture. So I just kind of like stand there. Oh, the scammer. So I just stand there and let him take the picture of me, so that way he can have the picture to show that he delivered the goods, right? Okay, about the scammer forever. A few weeks back, I was really tired. I was really exhausted and having one of my bad days. And I woke up to the sound of someone knocking on my apartment door. And this is before I knew that the outer door was unlocked. So I presumed if someone was knocking on my door, that they had a good reason to be here. I open the door. It's this dude in a safety vest. And I'm like half asleep. And he starts talking about like, did your power company give you your high efficiency light bulbs and shower heads yet? And I'm like, what? What? He's like, did they give you that? That's a special. They're supposed to get that for you. And I'm like, no. When I moved in, they told me they had LED bulbs in the place, but I wasn't aware of any rebates or whatever. He's like, are you getting this rebate where you're supposed to get such and such rebate on your electric bill? Now at this point, this was back when right after my TDAP, my temporary disability had been cut off. And I'm like, oh, a rebate would be really great right about now. And I was desperate. I was half asleep, I was desperate, and I was gullible. And he's like, show me your bill and I'll see if you're signed up for the rebate already. He got into my building. I didn't let him into my apartment, but he did get into my building. And he was like, can I see your bill? And that's when I realized I hadn't really received a bill in the mail. I'd been paying my bill online for my electric, and I hadn't really noticed that I hadn't received the bill yet. So I still have to call them and figure out why they haven't been sending me a paper bill. And so yes, exactly. And I was confused, right? And I pull up my latest bill on my phone so we can see it. And I see him like taking down some notes or something from the bill. I'm gonna watch him since he had my phone. And he's like, so-and-so, we'll get you signed up for this. It's a rebate. You're going to get this rebate on your electric bill. And I'm like, how did you get in this building? And he's like, oh, well, we're a Better Business Bureau approved such and such thing. And I could hear someone else giving kind of the same spiel he was giving me to someone one floor below me. And I'm like, oh, there must be like some approved business or something. They must have a key fob for getting in or something, right? So I was like half asleep and it all made sense in my head, right? After they left, it all sunk in after that person left, right? I was like, wait a minute, none of that works. And I told my partner about it, and she was like, you need to check your bank account and make sure they didn't like transfer money out of your bank account, and look at your bill and see what the information they could have gotten off your bill, right? So I pulled up my bill, and I'm looking at my bill, and I'm like, okay, this is what this means. This is what this means. None of my banking information was on the bill, so there was no way they could have gotten anything in order to charge me for anything. But then I realized when I was looking at my bill and I was looking at online on my account for my electric company, there was some outstanding balance that was like $55 that I was like, that's not supposed to be there. I have enough problems to deal with right now. I don't need a bonus $55 on this account. So I got up the courage and I called my electric company, and I'm like, hey, have you heard of such and such a company? They said that they were going to get me a rebate on my electric bill. And the electric people are like, no, they're a third-party supplier. What they on your bill, there's a thing with an ID number. And if they have that ID number, they can transfer you, so you no longer would get your electricity from us. You'd be getting your electricity from them and be paying their rates. I'm like, oh, he didn't say anything about that. I didn't sign anything. I didn't agree to change companies at all. That was not what he said to me at all in any way, shape, or form. And they're like, well, there's nothing we can do to block it. They're going to send you a letter in the mail, and you're going to have like 2 days to call the number. And if you don't call the number, they'll do the switch automatically. Now, after the switch is done, you can like switch back, but it might be a process, right? And I'm like, oh my gosh, great. That's exactly what I need, right? And like, here's the thing, their rates might be cheaper. They might have a good product, but if they're selling it by using underhanded methods and tricking people into signing up, then I don't want it, right? I don't want any part of that, right? And I was like, what in the world? So I was like, okay, I'm gonna have to get on that. But because I was talking to them, I found out that like I had some leeway with my electric bill if I didn't get my money turned back on in time, that it wasn't gonna be the end of the world if I was late on a bill. I was like, okay, all right. That was scary. That was a little bit disturbing. But you know what? We live and we learn. And then that was on a Friday. And then the next Monday, I called the company because I asked the guy to see his badge, and I saw the name of his company. And he didn't even have his badge with him. He had a picture of his badge on his phone that he showed me whenever I asked to see his badge, to figure out who he was. I called the company. They said, we don't see any proof that you've been signed up for our company. We don't see any proof that you've been signed up for our services. And I'm like, okay, well, this guy was here. And they're like, well, we need, before we can do the official switch with our policy, we need to call you and get confirmation from you through either call or text before we can do the switch. I'm like, well, I never got a call or a text. They're like, is your phone number on the national do not call list? And I'm like, I think so. And they're like, well, if your number is on the national do not call list, we won't call you. And I'm like, if you don't have better proof that the place is a scam company than the fact that like they don't they're not allowed to call people on the do not call list. So I'm like, okay. And they're like, well, we're gonna put you on our do not call list, so that way, if he just hadn't filed the paperwork yet, whenever it does get filed, the thing will just get thrown out or whatever, right? And I'm like, holy cow, chat. I was just like, what in the world? Ah. But yeah, so that was my run-in with the scammer a few weeks back. But oh my gosh, I'm gonna gush for a little bit about Critical Role. This is kind of a yapping stream, kind of like a free chatty, brainstormy, talk about whatever, just because I'm tired and I couldn't. I wanted to stream because I wanted to see all of you, but I also didn't really have any like focus because it's just how crazy my week has been and how tired I was after being up so late last night. It's just a thing, I guess. Okay. Actually, give me 1 second. I'm gonna get some water. I'm gonna get something to drink. I think I might be dehydrated. I think that might be why I'm feeling so down and out right now. So give me a second to get something to drink. I'll be right back. Alrighty, I'm back. Yeah, drinking water. Well, Fridays I spent time with my mom because I work at as her home attendant. And when I finished, I was like, wait, Orion streams at this time. Oh, I hope you didn't, like, miss out on family time. I never want to get in the way of people spending time with their loved ones. But I got some water, filled up a bottle with water, put in some lemonade powder, some lemonade flavoring powder, because I have those like little flavor packets. There's gonna be lots of family time. All right, okay. As long as it's not too burdensome. As long as it's fun for you forever. It's good to be back, Kimberly. It's good to be back. It's good to be back. It's good to be back. A little bit of fluid in me helped. Excuse me. All right. Finish drinking that bottle of water. Lots of things to grill for tomorrow. I'm in charge of grilling. Oh, what are you going to be grilling forever? What are you going to be grilling? What you got? What you got? What you got? What you got? So, okay. I mentioned this before, so I'm going to talk a little bit about Critical Role. For those of you who don't know, hot dogs, corn, little beef skewers, marshmallows. Ooh. I miss marshmallows. I shouldn't, because they're like big chunks of sugar. But I know that there are vegan marshmallows. Maybe I should order some vegan marshmallows. I shouldn't. I should not. They are not good for my diet. They are not good for me being diabetic. But there's part of me that just misses biting into a big fluffy marshmallow. I am not just diabetic. I'm like super diabetic. Not to get medical or anything, but I take like what I think is like the largest safe dose of metformin that anyone can take for my body size. Like, it's funny, I was talking to my lawyer about it. I'm like, I take a lot of metformin. He's like, how much? I told him how much, and he's like, that's a lot of metformin. I'm like, yeah, I'm not just diabetic, I'm super diabetic. But I still eat the food that I like. Like, I still eat potatoes every now and again. And I'll the odd bit of bread here and there. You too, Kimberly? Oh, geez, that's rough. Oh, goodness gravy. Ah. You'd die if you had to deal with that. You run off of sugar. See, some people run off of caffeine. Other people run off of sugar. I just don't run. I don't run off of anything. I just don't run. I always imagine trying to explain the mental problems I have that I deal with to other people. And I always imagine someone being like, how do you function with all that? And they're just saying, I don't. Like, a good chunk of the time, I don't function. Yeah, that's a quote. Some people run off of caffeine. Some people run off of sugar. I run off of neither because I just don't run. Yeah. Sweets can cause cavities. It's all right forever. Tonight is a lazy yapping, brainstorming. The only reason I didn't change the thumbnail was because I just didn't have it in me to change the thumbnail on the preset from the previous stream. But this, and I didn't want to change the whatchamacallit, the playlist to put it in the free chatting playlist. Ostensibly, we'll get to some brainstorming for story ideas later. But okay, so Critical Role. This long-running D&D series. They're on their third campaign that takes place in the same world. All three campaigns and their side stories take place in the same world with a shared history, a shared timeline, and all these events lead into each other, right? And in the live show about a month ago, at the end, there was a whole thing where Ludinus, or at least his simulacrum, or whatever version of him was there, was like, before you fight me, let me show you something to show you that, like, about the cruelty of the gods, and that like show you the true nature of the gods you're fighting to protect. Because in the story, there's a whole thing where Ludinus, the bad guy, is trying to release this monster Predathos that eats gods. So he's trying to release that, and Ludinus has been willing to kill, cheat, and steal, and do all this bad stuff, all in the service of his goal, because he thought all of it was justified for the chance to get out from underneath the gods. And the party has been kind of divided between whether they support the gods or not. And it's been kind of a thing where they've kind of agreed on the fact that they're like, we don't entirely support the gods, but we don't agree with Ludinus's methods. Even if Ludinus has a moral high ground, he's going too far to achieve his goals. And like there was one talk, it was actually really funny, where like in one of the scenes a while back, where one of the characters was like, well, like even before the the gods got here, the Titans were here, and talking about how like the Titans should have been the rulers. And I'm like, are you ignoring the fact that in the lore of Exandria, the Titans wanted to destroy the mortals? The Titans did not like the mortals. The gods created the mortals, and the Titans wanted to wipe the mortals off of the face of Exandria. And it's just funny. And so Ludinus is like, I'm going to show you this recording from the fall of this flying city, because in the past there were these flying cities in the past of their world that were like, they had all this like magic and technology, and it was the age of Arcanum. All manner of things could be accomplished in their time, right? In this time of the age of Arcanum. And then moving into the age of Calamity, which Calamity was, there was this war between these group of deities called the Prime Deities and this other group called the Betrayer Deities. And the Prime Deities wanted to protect the mortals. The Betrayer Deities wanted to wipe away the mortals and start over, right? And the Prime Deities had originally tried to lock away the Betrayer gods, and seal them away, but the Betrayer gods escaped, and then that's what led to the War of Calamity. And we know that, like, since that happened in the past of their world, we know some bits and pieces, but we don't know all of it, right? And so instead of narrating the memory that was in this crystal and just having Matt Mercer or having the DM say this is what you find, or like a history check or something, they did a 3-part miniseries in the middle of campaign 3 that was all about playing through what that memory was. They had guest characters come in. They had a guest DM. They let Brennan come in, because Brennan Lee Mulligan was the one who did Calamity, and I guess they're letting him do a lot of the Calamity related stuff. And so they went off with this whole thing, and I think everyone had certain expectations, especially people who saw Calamity. We had these expectations that it was going to be like Calamity, where it was going to be, they were going to be following a group of people who were trying to save as many people as they could, or prevent the sinking of the city and save Exandria in some way, shape, or form. And generally in these stories in Critical Role, the players have been playing as the heroes. In all of the side stories and the main stories, the players have been the heroes. But this one was different. This was unlike anything Critical Role's ever done. It pushed the medium in ways that it had never been done before, that I know of, at least. Which might say more about me than the medium. The players, it wasn't quite an evil, air quotes, evil campaign. The players were playing as mortal incarnations of the gods who were on a mission to sink Aor, the flying city. So they were kind of the villains, but like, the players were all playing prime deities. They were all playing the deities that wanted to spare humanity and protect humanity. And the premise was, word had reached them of a weapon that could hurt them, and so they had made a move to sneak in to the city and get more details, get more information, and possibly destroy this weapon. And there was a whole bunch of hullabaloo about it, but Brennan, the DM, was playing the other NPCs of the other betrayer gods, right? And it was a whole thing. And some people in the chat, because I was watching on Twitch, and then there was the Twitch chat, and then there was also this chat room that I was in that I watch whenever I'm watching Critical Role with. And someone brought up a really interesting point that, like, towards the end, whenever they actually sunk the city, they sunk the city as a last resort. They sunk the city because they had no other option. And some people mention that, like, it would probably be a thing with, like, Lewdness, the bad guy, being like, all right, I realize this wasn't as, big of a gotcha moment as I thought it was going to be, but it still proves that even the prime deities were involved with killing all these people. And it was emotional, and, like, the big thing was they had this fight, right? And they were fighting in the same room as this god-killing weapon. And on this god-killing weapon, they had assembled these wards that drove off different aspects of divinity. Different powers and pieces of the god's powers were sealed away by these wards. So by their very existence, the gods could not access certain powers. At least in the vicinity. It wasn't really clear exactly how all of it was working, like what the range was on the wards. But they went into the fight, and it was like a CR 100 fight. There were like 3 dragons. What was it? 3 dragons, 3 demons, 6 archmages, and 2 massive automatons that were like adamantine golems or something. And, like, there were wish spells getting slung around like magic missiles. Right? This was the last great city of Aor, and they were fighting to save their city. And the players were fighting to destroy the god-killing weapon. And it was brutal. There was a point in the fight when I was watching it. Like, we knew, because since all of the episodes are pre-recorded, right? So we knew from the start it was going to be a 6.5 hour long episode. So we knew it was going to be long, right? And it was the final one of the miniseries. But I'll tell you, there was a point when I even said in the chat, I was like, are they about to pull, like, are they gonna get TPK'd, and we're gonna, like, rewrite history here? Like, are they gonna get TPK'd, and then the last 3 hours of the episode is just blank screen that they did in order to hide the fact that they all got TPK'd. That the whole thing was blank screen. That's what I thought was going to happen. That's exactly what I thought was going to happen. Someone in chat was like, imagine a 3-hour art reel. And I'm like, oh my gosh. That would be nuts. because it was close. They were all like level 20 with epic boons, god level beings. But like, because the first round was so brutal. And then in the start of the second round, one of the characters finally got a chance to get a spell off. It wasn't just rolling nat ones. There were just so many enemies swarming them. But then one of them finally got a spell off and cast Meteor Swarm. They're in an underground cavern, and they're in an underground cavern in a flying city, which that in and of itself is hilarious, right? They're in an underground cavern in a flying city, and one of them casts Meteor Swarm. And I'll tell you right now, they pulled the most rules lawyery BS, and it was beautiful. It was beautiful. So, in the wording of Meteor Swarm, it says objects and terrain take the damage, right? It also says characters can only be affected by one of the meteors. So even if you overlay and have two meteors hit the same zone, all of the characters in that area are only getting affected by one meteor. And one of them was like, these wards are not characters. These wards are objects. So can we stack two meteors hitting the structure that's holding a bunch of these wards in a group together, and then do a butt ton of damage to the wards? And Brennan was like, you know what? That's the most rules lawyery stuff, but let's go. Let's go. Let's do it. And just rain down destruction with Meteor Swarm, right? And it was revealed that every time one of the wards went down, a piece of their godly power was restored. So every time one of the wards went down, a piece of the godly power was restored. There were 4 minor wards that were connected to like relatively minor abilities, and there were 3 major wards that were connected to 3 major abilities. And it was really interesting because you could tell that Brennan had thought about what mechanically would it mean like to represent a god as a character. How would you represent a godly power in a character? And there were things like when you make a check, you, after adding all bonuses, double the result. Your health is multiplied by 10. So essentially all damage you take is divided by 10. Well, they just were like destroying the wards, right? And they got like their health got multiplied by 10 because they took out 3 of the 3 major ones at once. And like Brennan had done a lot of like encounter planning. There were 7 wards, 4 easy to reach and easy to destroy lower wards, 3 harder to reach, harder to destroy upper wards. They used Brennan used the damage threshold mechanic that never actually made it into 5e. It was one of the things from the playtest that never made it, but he used it. And damage threshold means if you do damage below a certain point, you do no damage. But after you get more damage than that threshold, then you do damage and you do the full damage. So like the lower wards had a damage threshold of 15. So if you in one instance of damage, if you dealt less than 15 damage, it would do no damage. But if you dealt 16 damage, it would do 16 damage. So the lower wards had a damage threshold of 15. The upper wards had damage thresholds of 25. Damage threshold of 25 is hard to hit, but whenever you're talking about raining down meteor swarms, and that's a bunch of damage that blew through the upper wards. Oh, I'm sorry, Forever. So they were gaining massive amounts of power, and you could tell Brennan had a plan. It was going to be they fight, it's going to be difficult. As they take down, they're going to be struggling to deal with the enemies, and then as they take down the wards, they would gradually become stronger, and the fight would become less and less desperate. And as they wore through the enemies, they gained more power, and they were like going to do stuff, right? Oh, does your brother like D&D Forever? Or TTRPGs? Anyway, it was a thing. They gained a bunch of power, and then after that, it was this thing where their bodies were struggling to contain their divine power because they'd all become mortal in order to sneak into the city, right? Not like shape changed into mortals. Yes, the ability to read is overpowered. They done something interesting with this, where instead of like the gods shape changing into mortal form, the gods let them like they called a truce in their war. And they let themselves be physically born or created into mortal forms. So that way they could bypass the wards that kept out divinity. So they were in mortal forms, and then as these wards were being destroyed, their godly powers were returning, and they were slowly shedding their mortal coil, right? And it's one of the things, they mentioned it in the cooldown that I didn't watch because I don't have Beacon. But they mentioned it in the cooldown where it was like, they were giddy with excitement because they were gaining so much power, but they weren't thinking about how, like, horrific the whole thing was. That they were Like in the moment, you're caught up in gaining so much power. You're caught up in feeling that power fantasy, right? But then the actual like consequences of their actions, where they are sinking the city, they are destroying this city, really doesn't sink until later. And like one of them, and it was funny because Brennan, like he drilled it home in some interesting ways. So like partway through the fight, like I think it was like six more archmages teleported in order to try to defend the machine, in order to try to defend the Godhammer, right? And one of them, after unlocking all of this godly power, released a godly sunburst that vaporized all of these archmages that just teleported in. And as Brennan was taking their minis off of the map, he said, every single one of these wizards, these archmages that were destroyed by your sunbeam, were some of the most brilliant and dedicated and capable mortals to have ever lived. These were the smartest and the best mages to have ever been produced by Exandria, and you've just wiped them away in a single spell. And like one of the players said in the cooldown, he's like, after that happened, I felt it. I felt terrible after that happened, as you realize what you've just done. But like it's part of the history. You're playing through a historical record, and everybody knew the score. Everyone knew how it was going to end. It was going to end with the city crashing. And it did. It was emotional. And it was deep. And it was painful. And like, seeing some people in the community talk about it, because they're like, the thing is, in Exandria, the gods have been unchallenged and saw themselves as being so far above everyone else that they no longer hold each other accountable. They don't follow their own rules, right? And it's become a thing where their followers are committing these atrocities in their name, and oppressing other people. And the gods need to do something. If not be removed or deposed, they need to change how they do things. And that's a very powerful thing about like saying that you have to hold your leaders accountable. Oh my goodness. And it was deep, and it was interesting, and it was emotional. But yeah, it was quite the ride. I definitely I'm glad I watched it. It's really funny. Towards the end, someone mentioned that like they had zoned out, or they had to go do something, and they missed the last portion of the thing. So I wrote up a quick thing to just like explain what happened at the end. And they were like, "Thank you, you're doing God's work." And I'm like, I don't think I got everything. I don't think I got everything. The chat room that I watch in is run by this YouTuber and Twitch streamer Luboffin or Luna, and she does like recaps and stuff of the different Critical Role episodes, and she was watching in the chat room with us, and she was like, or in the Discord chat, and she was like, "This is so nuts. I'm gonna have to break my recap of this episode into like 2 or 3 videos because there's just so much content to go over." And I'm like, definitely. I think we all were like, yeah, that's definitely about to be a thing. Because there was so much. There was so much stuff that happened. But yeah, that was my night into this morning, and then I spent some time talking about my story idea, the one I talked about last stream, the one I call Silly Story Idea X. And it's funny, I've been doing research on some stuff. I've been doing some research on stuff about different mechs, different giant robots and grunt suits, and I found some interesting things and looking for different like reference images and stuff. I've been looking for different reference images on like different mass-produced mechs or real robots that I think would like suit the vibe of what I'm looking for my story. And I found some interesting things. I think the best ones I've been finding were the Wanzers from Front Mission. Were the ones that give me the most, the best vibe for what I'm looking for the mechs for my story. And it was really funny, like when I was talking, went about 3 months with that campaign. What happened when you got another person in the group? Now you got me curious. That's what I was looking for. Ba 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 ba. Grand Trooper, that's what I was looking for images. Do you want the short version or the long version of the conversation? It went fine, but the amount of lore we had to exchange was the challenge. Yeah, getting someone new into a campaign is always a challenge, especially a long-running one. Yeah, it is. It's always a challenge getting someone into a story that like they're coming in too late. Ugh. So yeah, let me show you some of the art that I found that I think I've been using as references. So it's been interesting, as I've also been doing some research on like tanks. Not a whole lot of research. I don't want to end up on like a watch list or anything, but like I've been doing some research on like military stuff because that's just what I write a lot about. And let me so this right here is the Zenith. It's kind of the flagship Wanzer. It was introduced as a new ally when the group was visiting a different nation. Ooh, nice. So this is the Zenith. It is the kind of flagship Wanzer from the Front Mission series, right? And I like this design because if you look at how it's situated, the legs aren't super long and it looks relatively low tech, right? And that's what I want to go for my story idea, right? This idea of these relatively low tech things that are literally just vertical tanks. And I did some research on like the dimensions and the size of the Wanzers when I was doing that. I was doing some research on that this week, and what I found was that in the lore, the Wanzers are like 5 to 6 meters tall, so it's like 18 to 20 feet tall, right? That's about where I want my mechs to be height-wise, right? But then I looked at the weight, and I know I've read people talking about like one of the problems or gripes or complaints that people have had with the mecha genre, especially shows that claim to be realistic, is that very often they will claim very unrealistically low weights for their mechs. Like, yes, there's supposed to be some kind of like material science upgrades, but then at some point it feels like these mechs are made out of Swiss cheese because they're just so lightweight. They're just so ridiculously lightweight. And like in Front Mission, the Wanzer, the Zenith, is supposed to weigh 24 tons, right? Which you're like, 24 tons, that's pretty heavy, right? That's bigger, that's heavier than a car, right? But it's bigger than a car. And I was like, okay, at first when I was looking at this, I was like, okay, so since I want mine to be a little bit more realistic, a little heavier, maybe I'll say they're like 25 or 26 tons, right? Yeah, once you get into some kind of like anti-gravity stuff, yeah. And it's a thing where I have this thing where I want the good guys' tech to be relatively grounded and balanced because it creates challenges and it gives room for growth and development. The bad guys' tech can be some kind of like super science-y, who's it, thingamadoobers, right? Because that's the bad guys' tech that's using this like advanced super science. But so I was thinking, okay, my mech, I'll say my mechs are like 25, 26 tons. So then I did some like research on like how big is a battle tank? right? Yes, Swiss cheese is accurate. I'm like, how big is a battle tank? So I look it up. Now I realize because of stuff being classified, the numbers that they release online are probably not entirely accurate, right? Because they're not going to release all of the specs and the specifics of different things, right? But just going off of what I have to go off of, right? Hey Violet, welcome in. Hey, listen, it's okay. I'm glad you dropped by. It's always good to hear from you. I hope your weekend goes well. I hope your week was great. And I want you to know that I value you, Violet, and I think that you're amazing. So I look at the Abrams battle tank because that's like the stereotypical tank. That's like the big name brand. If you want to compare something to a tank, that's what you compare it to, right? And the Abrams, there are different variations and whatchamacallit, assemblies or whatever, configurations, that's the word. There are different configurations of the Abrams battle tank, right? And they range in weight. And the Abrams ranges from 50 tons to 66 tons. It's like from 52 to like 66.8. All right, Noel Main. I don't know how late I'll be going today because today is just kind of a chill yapping stream. But I hope you have a wonderful night, Noel Main. And I want you to know that I value you. You are valuable, worthy of love, deserving of happiness and good things. You matter, and you are a precious treasure of a human being. And so I'm like, and then I looked at the dimensions. The Abrams, like if you were to like stand it up vertically, is a little bit bigger than a Zenith. So I'm like, here is the Abrams that is a little bit bigger than the Zenith Wanzer, but weighs easily more than all right, Violet, it's fine. I'm not feeling 100% tonight, so I'm just kind of having a yapping, chatting stream. So we're just kind of hanging around and talking about random stuff and brainstorming stuff tonight. So don't worry about missing too much stuff. I hope everything goes good for you, Violet. And I hope to see you Monday. And I'm like, but the Zenith Wanzer is supposed to be powered by some advanced power system that they never really get into in Front Mission. They don't really get into the hows and whys of the whatchahoozits. But I'm like, why should the Zenith be comparable in size to an Abrams, but weigh less than half? Less than half the weight. 3/4 I could see. 3/4 I could see. But less than half the weight? So I did a little bit more digging, right? And I looked up the GM from Gundam, right? That thing is massive. That thing is 18 meters tall, which is like 60 feet, right? So it's like 60 feet tall. It's absolutely massive. And guess how much the GM is supposed to weigh? Pull up a picture of that. I think I have a picture of that. Let me check my downloads folder. Oh, I never... Oop. Whoop. Okay. No, blah, 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 blah. Let me get... Oh. Sorry, I was getting a file that I wanted to share a picture of. Okay. Boop, boop. Okay, cool. There we go. Boop, 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 boop. Okay. Extract all. All right. Finally got the picture sorted the way I want. I use a lot of... I like to like sort my pictures. Let me do the one that I want right now, which is... Boop. This one. There we go. Oh. The GM. The GM is... Oh no, forever. Oh no. Oh no. You know what? It is what it is. It is what it is forever. You just got to go with it. You just got to go with it. So, put you on the dedication page. You know what? You just got to run with it. You just got to run with it. So the GM, which is the mass-produced Gundam. Hold on one second. I think I heard somebody knocking on the door, which is really weird because it's like 10 o'clock at night. Give me 1 second, chat. When I got to the door, I stopped to grab a box cutter in case anything happened, so I could defend myself. And when I got to the door, I heard people going downstairs, and it sounded like people had just come out of my neighbor's apartment. So I don't know what's going on there, but whatever. Anyway, the GM, about 60 feet tall, easily more than 3 times the size of the Wanzer, right? Massive machine. Empty weight of the GM with no fuel, propellant, or ammunition loaded, 40 tons. Which, okay, that's 40 tons is a lot, but for something that big, that's not a lot. Maximum weight, fully kitted out, fully loaded up GM, maximum weight is listed in the manuals, in the official material, as 58 tons. So you're telling me this thing that's easily 3 times the size of a battle tank weighs about the same amount? It's mind-boggling. Like, to put it up to scale, that would be like if I took this. Let me get this. Yeah. Oh. That's like if you look at that kind of a size comparison between the two, right? And to say that this thing is more than 3 times the size, but only weighs like twice as much. I mean, it just boggles the mind. And like, I know they try to explain it by saying advanced materials science, ceramic titanium alloy that's super lightweight but super durable, and all that stuff. But I was like, that's not really what I wanted to do. I wanted my story, at least for the protagonist's machines, to be relatively low tech. So I was like, okay, I need to do something about that, right? So for my story, I'm saying that my mechs, at least the protagonist's machines, are about the size of a Wanzer, about 20 feet tall, and I'm saying that they weigh about as much as the listed weight of a GM, which is empty weight 41 tons, full weight 60 tons. So I think that puts it in line with the expected weight of a battle tank, and it should move somewhat like a battle tank. It's going to have a better acceleration and movement because of its electric motors. And it's going to have more versatility because it can change out handheld weapons and equipment. So it'll allow it to fill a variety of roles, and it's going to have a better vantage point because it's going to be taller than a regular tank. So it's going to be able to aim at things more effectively. But I think that creates a niche that's relatively believable for it to be in without getting into some kind of super science. Because a lot of times, one of the big issues you run into with mech anime or mech franchises whenever you're trying to be realistic is you run into this thing about if you have that technology to make that mecha, right? Why don't you just build a better tank? Why don't you just build better jets? Right? um you need there to be a reason. If you're doing some kind of like a real robot story, you need to be some kind of a reason for why you're using the mechs. And in my story, it's a thing where the mechs only require one person to operate instead of four. They can perform pretty effectively, and there's something about the aesthetics. I was talking to my bro one time, and he was just like, well, think about it. Like, if we had a choice, why wouldn't we make machines that look like us? Like, wouldn't that just like appeal to our human vanity? Making machines that look and move and act like us? And I'm like, to a certain extent, yeah. And that's one of the things that I want to express in my story. Is that like there is some level of human vanity involved, but there's also versatility in the fact that like having a thing that size that moves like a human can help with construction or farm work or like imagine having a giant 20-foot tall human that could throw massive hay bales or that could operate massive farming machinery. Or like handle big construction. Like it could be huge. It bugs me because this image that I have of the GM, the image has so much space on all sides that like you could make the image smaller. Yes. That's also an idea as well of morale. Seeing a thing that looks like you. Seeing a thing that looks like you coming to your aid. Okay, what else have we got? Then there's this. That's the solar wind. That's that's an MT from, I think that's from Armored Core 4 for Answer. Which they had some really good MTs in that game. And I definitely want to take inspiration from some of the MTs designs, because the idea of an MT is a muscle tracer where like as you move, it moves. Also, I learned something interesting. I don't know if it's true. Actually, now it's as good a time as any to look it up. So, okay. That is interesting. So interesting concept, but apparently it's been theorized that if whatchamacallit, if the pilot of a mech was in the cockpit was like submerged in fluid, like the cockpit was filled with fluid, and the pilot was in the fluid, that the fluid would evenly distribute the G-forces that the pilot was experiencing as they were moving. So then a pilot could, in theory, withstand like the kind of crazy G-forces that the mechs get up to in some series. And someone was saying in one of the posts that I was reading, it was a comment on a YouTube short. They said that like apparently in lore in the Nexts, in Armored Core 4 and 4 Answer, which the Next are like the next gen armored cores, right? In those, because of how fast they move and how much they accelerate, right? That in lore, the pilots are both augmented in order to be able to withstand more force, but also they're fully submerged in their cockpits in order to distribute the force and allow them to withstand everything. Because it vastly increases your ability to withstand that. And somebody was saying that like if your lungs were flooded with an oxygenated liquid, that would allow your body to be able to still breathe, but then have no air gaps in your lungs, you could withstand vastly even more G-forces if there was liquid outside of you and inside of you, that you could just withstand so much more G-forces. So all that to say, I think it would be interesting if some of the bad guys if like the bad guys why is there not that's weird. I just went to look up stuff about Gravion on Mech Anime headquarters. I don't see anything about Gravion. That's weird. Huh. That's weird. Could have swore it used to be listed on here. There used to be a lot more things on Mech Anime headquarters. I think some stuff got taken down. Anyway. There we go. But, yeah, but I was thinking that could be a thing for the bad guys in like flooded cockpits, allowing them to be super maneuverable, and they have all this like advanced future tech. Ugh. But yeah, so that was a thing that I was thinking about using for my story. What else? There's other stuff as well. Sorry, I'm just like really exhaustion's really hitting me. I've had a busy day. I've also had a crazy week. So like, just to tell you a little bit about my week. On Monday, I told you that my temporary disability got turned back on. Then Tuesday, the money got transferred into my account. And I'm like, okay, well, let's go get some bills paid. So I had to run around on Tuesday in order to get the bills paid and stuff caught up, right? Actually, yeah. And then so I had to do all that stuff on Tuesday. Wednesday, I was like waiting to hang out with Okusen all day online, but I was just really tired and I fell asleep. And Okusen got busy with scheduling and just like didn't hear the message, didn't hear the notification whenever I binged them about hanging out. And then Thursday was like I was spent recuperating from like I'm still recuperating from all the craziness of Tuesday, right? And then now today I'm still recuperating from Thursday night, right? And it's just been an adventure. It's just been an adventure. Okay. Could use. I could use the whatchamacallit, the basic mechs they were trained on in Gunbuster. I could find some good pictures of them. Let me see. RX-7 machine weapon. Those could be good for mass-produced units for images. Let me see here. Oh, it has the right height, 5.6 meters. See if I can find any good pictures of them. Ooh, that's a good picture. Download that picture. Right click them. Right click them. Okay. There we go. It's always fun looking for new images for inspiration for designs. Why is that not? This is a tiny one. This thing's even smaller than a Wanzer. That actually is not a bad image for a mass-produced machine. How much do they weigh? Did they ever give the weight? Oh, goodness. Again with the ridiculously low weights. So the RX-7 from Gunbuster. Oh, it is supposed to be a little bit taller. It's supposed to be 8.8 meters, so it's a little bit taller. Like up to there. Yeah. But so it's listed as being 8.8 meters tall, right? But this is the kicker. They claim it only weighs 3.62 tons. And I'm like, that's absolutely ridiculous. All right. Well, I'm thinking about it. There we go. Alrighty. Anyway. So this has just been me talking about different mechs and shows and things. Let me... Thank you all for humoring me. As I've just been kind of talking about Critical Role and random stuff. It's nice to do these every once in a while. Just have a random chit-chatting stream. I know this isn't like a lot of my normal content. And I know the algorithm's probably going to kick me in the teeth for like not delivering on the same content that I normally do. But you know what? It is what it is. Ugh. Alrighty. Any cool... Alrighty. I think I'm about ready to wind down for the night because I am getting a little tired and probably just want to call it a night pretty early tonight. Hope you all don't mind. See if there's any other cool... I could do plain stuff, but let me see if I find... We have weights listed. I'm curious now how much these things are supposed to weigh. Like there's the, in Macross, they've got the relatively generic stuff. Yeah, I thought it was a fun ranting stream forever. It was a nice little fun ranting stream. How much is this supposed to weigh? Could use the the Valkyrie as a design for some of my mechs. It's a little bit tall. Okay. Yep. All right. I'm getting distracted. I'm getting tired. All right, let's wind down for tonight. For those of you who don't know, I like to speak positivity and joy and love and hope into the lives of everyone in stream. So I know we're ending a little bit early. Normally I like to try to push for 3 hours, but I just don't think I have 3 hours in me. So shouting out to all the people I saw in chat tonight. We had Kalora, Nabiru, Forever, Kimberly, Sean, Noel Main, Julian. I'm sure Silva was here somewhere. Oh, Violet was here. That was fun having them here. Yep, good night, good night. I say to all of those people I've shouted out, to anyone who watched the stream and didn't say anything in chat, and to anyone who watches this VOD afterwards, I would like to say to all of you that I love all of you, and I believe in each and every one of you. I think that you all possess a truly unique and one-of-a-kind potential to make this world a better place by living in it in your own way. Thank you for coming to my stream, and thank you for being a part of my community, and thank you for helping to make my community better. I appreciate each and every one of you being here. I believe that you are valuable treasures of human beings. You matter. You're important. You're worthwhile people to know. I believe that you are... that your hopes and your dreams and your fears and concerns are valid and worthy of notice. That you are worthy of love, deserving of happiness and good things, and that you're amazing. Always remember the Star Hunter motto: shoot for the stars, have wonderful adventures, live your dreams, and always stop to enjoy the memes. If you have any friends or neighbors or aunts or uncles or arch nemesis, arch rivals, co-workers, boss, anyone you think might enjoy my content, feel free to invite them to the next stream. Next stream is going to be Monday, 8:30 p.m. EST. Also next week, because it is going to be next week, a week from today, next week Friday is going to be the first Friday of the month, which is going to be my first Friday of the month raft stream that I do on Hero Girl's channel. So we're going to be doing more raft, and then my stream is going to be starting late on Friday, not on Monday, but on Friday. I'll try to remember to remind people on Friday, on Monday, but a week from tonight on Friday, that stream is going to start at like, I think I normally start that at like 10. Yeah. Like 10:30. Yeah. I'll go over my notes. I'll look at what we did last time, but I'll make posts about it. If you want to keep up with what I'm doing, you can subscribe on YouTube and ding the notification bell. You can follow me on Twitch. You can follow me on Twitter or X, on Blue Sky Social. You can join my Discord. You can like my Facebook. Links to all of those are in the description down below on YouTube. And also on the About page on Twitch. One last thing. You don't have to donate to be welcome here. You don't have to give money to be a part of this community. I value each and every one of you for being here, for being a part of the community, for giving me your time, your attention, and your energy. But with that said, I do appreciate the people who have donated in the past and will donate in the future to help make things possible for me. You all are amazing, and I appreciate each and every one of you who does that. If you ever feel motivated to donate to help me out with any number of things, and it is financially safe and responsible for you to do so, you can find links where you can do so in the description down below on YouTube and the donate button on Twitch. On YouTube, there's a link to PayPal where you can do a one-time donation, or Ko-fi where you can do a one-time donation or sign up for a monthly donation. I prefer, if you're going to do a one-time donation, to do it through PayPal. As for the monthly donations on Ko-fi, there's no rewards for those yet. It's more of just if you want to say there's a tangible way for you to express how much you appreciate what I do for what enrichment my content brings to your life, then you can do so. And the donate button on Twitch just takes you to Ko-fi, where you can again do one-time donation or monthly donation. Thank you all for coming, and I will have a great weekend. I will see all of you, hopefully, in a much more coherent and organized form on Monday. And one of these days, I'm going to get back to whatchamacallit, rating people on Twitch. I just don't really have a lot of people watching me on Twitch. But I think that might also be because I don't raid very much. Anyway, have a good night, everybody.